that is like, okay, if something bad happens to Israel, like, I got your back, friend, but as long as you can deal with it on your own, deal with it. Like, I can, like, as the US, it would be like, yeah, I can serve as a moderator. I can try to intercede, and try to keep peace. But I don't think that it is US beef,
Um,
whatever happens to Israel.
the Houthis shot at Ben Gurion Airport. There happens to be United Airlines flies in there. I mean, there's U.S. carriers that are in there. They shot at a civilian airport where the U.S. carriers, the U.S. citizens fly in and out of. It's not just shooting at a random, piece of desert dirt in the middle of the Negev. It's different, and it's positioned differently.
How many US citizens live in Israel? Anybody know?
It's
What?
got to be. I'm going to say
Half a million?
about 500,000.
About half a million? So it's about a half
Yeah.
a million Americans there. Are there half a million
Yeah, but
Americans
Americans are all around the
living together?
world.
Yeah, but listen, not all entanglements are the same. You can't say we don't want to get into an entanglement. It's a very broad statement. No, not all entanglements are the same. The exposure to U.S. No soldiers are going to die if we bomb the Houthis. So there's a lot of variables that are taken into consideration, and it's that's all there is to it. It's not, obviously we're not sending, the U.S. isn't sending ground troops into to fight the Houthis, but so everything has to be evaluated. They're not all conflicts are the same.
Yeah, but again, like, I mean, it would have been different if the attack of the Houthis was targeting, let's say, an American Airlines plane, and that it actually hit an American Airlines plane.
How
Then
about
you
all
would
the
say, oh, we can take that as an
How
attack.
about all the ships that in the shipping
No,
lanes that
but yeah, Randy, Randy,
The
that
Houthis
is
are
a different
attacking?
beef. That is a different beef. The Houthis have attacked USA ships, and that is the reason why USA has been bombing the shit out of the Houthis for 50 days, for over 50 days. But that is one beef. Now that is done. The Houthis said, "Okay, we're sorry, we're gonna stop," and Trump said, "Okay, we're not gonna keep hitting you anymore." That day, they decided to bomb the airport of Israel. So Israel attacked and destroyed their airport. And they coordinated with Israel because they both were attacking the same target, let's say. And so they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, good, friend, whatever. But then uh, US beef is let's say finalized, and now the pending thing is Israel. But I don't think that Israel needs USA to get in the middle. I don't know. I mean, this is just the way I see things, and I get it that you guys obviously have an interest in Israel, and obviously I support Israel as well, 100%,
Do you know?
not the Houthis. But I don't think that, yeah, I don't think that
Look, when
that
people
that the
have a
US should
common
take care of
enemy,
all the problems around the world.
when
I don't
people
know.
have a common enemy, wars don't end. It's not like, I'm going to pick, I hate to do it, but I'll pick World War II because that's a war that everybody knows. But, each country doesn't conclude a separate peace with Germany. No, the war's over when Germany surrenders. The Houthis have to, certain wars are over when the enemy surrenders, not when each person makes a separate private deal. That's my view on conflict. It's not like a real estate thing. Oh, I'll do a separate deal. You do a separate deal. We'll all do separate deals. Hopefully, we'll all come out of it okay. That's not the way the conflicts are fought.
Can
Thank
we
you.
interject something really important here? What's the US dollar backed by? Is it backed by gold? No, it's not backed by gold. It's backed by the United States military and providing world order. It's backed by security arrangements and agreements which the United States makes with other countries. It's backed by that. And when the United States is failing to keep up its obligations and its agreements, then it's going to be more disarray and more disorder. We see it what happened in Ukraine. We're going to see it in Taiwan. We already see it in the Middle East. The Saudis are in bed with the Chinese making a deal with Iran to get the Houthis off of their back a couple of years ago. Do we want to see the United States lead the world, or do we want to let someone else like China or Russia come and lead the United States?
Dude, listen, I don't think that the USA has to be the police of the world. I don't think that your taxpayer money will be able to cover all of that. And I don't think that
I'd
any
like
other
to have
country
that
would
job.
appreciate the interventionism from the
But we
US
have
either.
been,
Who else is gonna?
whoa. We look at our history and look at how long we've been in the Middle East. We can go back to the Barbary Wars. We have been policing the maritime commerce and the flow of maritime for our history as a nation. This is nothing new.
And people are
Yeah,
pissed
but
off
that's
about
Yeah,
it.
still
the same
no.
people who
Well,
say that the U.S. shouldn't be the police of the world, the same people who say that are the people who say the U.S. has to help Ukraine.
yeah, but you're
So,
Oh,
missing the
I
point
am not
you know,
here.
for helping
No,
Ukraine,
but
oh,
this,
you're
actually.
one
not
second.
for helping
No.
Ukraine.
No,
Okay, so
so Isa,
your views are a little outside. No
no,
disrespect.
but Isa, I
The
agree with you. Let me finish.
Go ahead, Mayor. You go.
No, I agree that you're saying it in a funny way. The U.S. is the policeman of the world, and if people don't like it, that's just too bad. But the way we police the world is by securing the shipping lanes. If the Houthis promise to stop bombing the shipping lanes and the Red Sea is now safe passage, then the U.S.'s action is done. This wasn't a declared war like World War II. This wasn't a joint effort in the same way. So I agree with all that. The problem I'm having is a crisis of trust. I don't. Where did this come from that the Houthis agreed? I don't believe it. I don't know. I haven't heard a release from the Houthis. Trump announced it out of nowhere. He just said it himself. And coincidentally, Wickoff is going to the mullahs for some reason to strike a deal with Iran while their proxies are still proxying. Like, if all this was true, I'd be a lot more comfortable. But I don't. I don't. It looks like if Obama was doing this, we'd all be against it.
Yeah, because
I don't,
didn't
I
they
don't think this is
backtrack
the.
it on it? Didn't Trump say it? And then the announcement came out of the Houthis that they never agreed to anything like that? I thought I heard that. So it's a little confusing.
So at this point, because I have no trust, I'm just going to start making stuff up. I think Trump announced it, which is kind of a gutsy move, because now it's on the Houthis to deny it. So he just announced it and dared the Houthis to say, no, we will attack you.
So if anyone's uncomfortable with the United States being the quote unquote police of the world to secure the shipping lanes and maintain world order, if we don't want the United States to be the leader of the world and to take on that responsibility, then who are we gonna have police us? Because that's the part that people leave out of that discussion is that it's not our job to do this. Not well, then we're gonna have China or Russia telling us what to do. I don't know. How do you guys think that'll go over? Does that sound like a good idea? Because if we leave a vacuum, it's gonna get filled.
Yeah, I guess I prefer the U.S.
then I think we can obtain peace, and I think it will calm everyone down because they're the two top dogs.
The Houthis is a different paradigm politically, also because their enemies are also the Saudis and the Emiratis, and that I mean that's who they also like to attack. So, which isn't the same political scenario as Hamas and Hezbollah, although they all come from that Muslim Brotherhood and Iranian Foundation. The Houthis have directly attacked the Gulf nations. So it adds in that other layer when negotiating and trying to put them in check, if that makes any sense.
They also have a port for with containers, so that's bad for business. What's going on with the Houthis and the Somalians? I think Iran is funding the Houthis, but it's also impacting Saudi Arabia because of that port that they got there. It's a big like trade hub right there.
In Jeddah, you're talking about in
Yes,
Saudi?
yes. The Saudis are very smart people. They made their money from the oil, but they're reinvesting.
Where's that coming from?
I think the bigger problem Israel might have in the future, like I think now this is like their last shot that Trump's giving them to kind of do what they need to do in Gaza, because there's a loud, I think, growing. I hate to say this, but there seems to be some sort of bubbling anti-Israel sentiment among the right, especially amongst like the podcasters, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Candace Owens, and they don't like the war, and they're pretty vocal about it, and lots of people listen to them. So I don't. So I think, and what they I think mainly don't like is that, especially Tucker, is that he doesn't like the fact that in his mind, America funds Israel, which he's wrong to use that phrase, but that's what it is in his mind. And the more that Israel tries to quote unquote wean itself off, or make it, or at least like from a public persona perspective, not use as many. It doesn't seem as tied to America, like militarily, as they do now. If they're more stable, that would calm that side of the political spectrum.
But
Because right
that's
now they're
that.
pretty loud and they're pretty consistent with what they think
John,
about Israel.
but that same group that you're talking about, also some of the people that listen to that are also the same people that listen to Pastor Hagee and are the tens of millions of members of Christians United for Israel and the Christian Zionists and the Evangelical Zionists. And that's a big voting bloc and it's a big chunk of Trump supporters and Republican supporters. So as much you can't lump them all in together because you have a lot of people that um, come from the evangelical position and they're very supportive of it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
But
more
Abby, if we
of
look inside,
1 second. I think there was a stat a few months ago that the younger evangelicals are sort of not prioritizing Israel in the way that uh, they don't have as much of a high regard to Israel as their previous generations. And I think that the crack in quote unquote support in the American population is 35 and under, who are listening, who are the main people that listen to these podcasts, I think, and who are very much. I'm not going to say like they got Trump elected. You know, they're mainstream now. As much as Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon, all these people, and Theo Vaughn want to make it seem that they're against the mainstream media, they are mainstream, and they kind of are guiding the the rhetoric around many different topics in this country. So I think it's like I think Israel has. It's going to be interesting to see over the next 20 years where these sort of allegiances align, and I think it might be. I'm just talking in Israel's best interest to try and get as much as be as independent as possible. So because that's what these people don't like. They don't like countries quote unquote leeching or
100%.
whatever off of us. What?
Yes, they need to what they call foreign aid today needs to be reclassified and restructured and relabeled because the U.S. and Israel have various joint ventures, and the U.S. gets tremendous return on investment. And people who know where I'm quoting from know where I'm quoting from. But yeah, they need to stop calling it foreign aid or whatever they call it
But
because it's
Randy,
not
it's
foreign
deeper
aid.
than that. It's deeper than that. The people that we're talking about now don't have a direct ideological issue with Israel. They're isolationists. They don't care if you call it foreign aid. They don't want America involved. They don't even want our currency to be the World Bank currency. These are the people that think it's okay to change tariffs in the middle. Like, it's a whole different issue. But Abby, what I really want to hear your opinion on is if John's right, this of the schism within the Trump coalition between isolationists and neocons. But if we look at the administration, it seems like all the people that are thinking of world order and America needs to be the mature one are taking it out of the State Department. Now, I guess there's Rubio, and he now has like 6 different portfolios, so there is that. But Waltz was taken off. We're left with people like Peter Hegseth and others that have this more isolationist view. It does look like the State Department is becoming fairly isolationist.
Well,
It definitely feels that way. It's interesting they say that, but it doesn't. Although it feels that way, they're also coming out with very affirmative statements about their support of Israel and the obligation to be there, lockstep. Like it's
We're
weird. It
getting
feels like they carved that out.
contradictory statements.
Yeah, but it's carved out. Like I mean,
What did
through
Rubio
their.
say about Iran? That if they want to get Iranian, they're going to have to buy it. But then we get others that are ready to shake hands. Witkoff seems like a very old school smile. Like, I'm getting lots of contradictions from the administration.
I mean, it's also a question who's in his ear, who's really in his ear, and what's gonna move policy, and that's hard to. I mean, I'm glad Rubio is in the position he is because he's one of the more balanced people that he has in the administration. But also interesting is how much Stephen Miller is in his ear.
He's not a great guy, I don't think.
I'm not passing judgment if he's good or bad, but he's definitely has a bigger role than he's ever had, and seems to be um, now with the shifting around. It, he's going to stay, I'm sure, in his position. I don't know who he's going to bring in ultimately as for national security, but
He doesn't care about Israel really. I haven't heard him say much about. I know he's Jewish, but I don't think that really makes a difference in the way that his worldview is.
the perception of middle America is, of course, we have to help out our allies and work with our allies, but we also presume that no war is better than funding a war.
I want to go back quickly to what John was saying before about the podcasters and how they're positioning themselves as like against, let's say, the aid or however you want to call it for Israel. I don't think I see anything bad in them taking a position, let's say, where they want to be America first and not getting tangled in other countries' conflicts. However, I see that the problem when it becomes problematic is like instances like with Candace Owens, that they start mixing their neutral position towards Israel, conflicting it with a position of being against Israel and mixing it with anti-Semitic rhetoric. That is where I see it problematic, because then it becomes a reasoning of like, we do not have to support Israel because they are the evils of the world. And that to me becomes a very toxic narrative. And that I am against. That I am against. Not the fact that they take a neutral position on Israel. That I don't care. I think it's fair. Now, going back to the whole thing about the aid to Israel, I fully agree. Because the narrative that there is, it makes it sound like it's charity money. And it's not charity money. The US has got a joint ventures, with Israel. and they're getting all the value of the things that they're investing. And Israel is at the same time investing in the US. Because of that deal, USA has got thousands of jobs that are directly related to the weapon industry. If Israel didn't have that relationship with the US wouldn't benefit from that either. So I think that yes, that narrative needs to change because it's not charity money, it's not aid, it's just a joint venture, as Randy was saying.
Yeah, it's not even for the Israelis. What used to be the percentage of their military, the aid is so insignificant. And there's even on the right in Israel, there's a voice that if the actual, we'll call it aid package went away, they'd be fine. What they wouldn't be fine with is their contractual dealings with purchasing of arms, and it's different. And what's it, 85, some may know this, 85-90% has to be purchased back in the US with of arms. Um, but
I forgot the
it's,
number. It's high.
yeah, but it's a small percentage of the Israeli military budget. It used to
Yeah.
be a much, much bigger percentage. And, there's many Israelis that say just stop, we don't have a dependency on it because of what it costs us politically or whatever. But the purchasing of arms is a different conversation, and the ability to purchase arms. And now one of the things is also Israel ramping up IMI, Israel Military Industries, and they used to build more weaponry out of there and airplanes out of there, and it may also mean to start ramping up internally producing.
I don't think they could build planes though over there.
What was it? The Labi? Wasn't that the plane that they used to make?
Maybe but
Yeah.
Like
F-35s,
the
like they
F-16
can't make that.
and
Yes,
stuff like that.
I think Israel could build planes and that they would sell them worldwide. Right now, by agreeing to buy American planes, it's basically a subsidy to the America. America has one less competitor in that world. I think Israel could make planes and sell them worldwide.
They did when they made the Lavi. What was it? Was it the Yom Kippur War? Randy, remind me when there was a problem with the AWACS out of France and Israel was producing its own planes. And I can't remember whether that was 73 or 67.
It sounds familiar. I just don't. I can't. I don't know enough to say.
If Israel wants to make a impression, they shouldn't get the F-35. They should get the Warthog plane. It has like this amazing Gatling gun on there. You can put an arsenal of different array of air-to-ground missiles. Beautiful.
Guys, we're not going to be able to have an army without America. Let's be real.
Well, the other thing is, like, I would hope, like, God forbid we went to war with Canada, I would hope Israel would help us out. That's why, if your friend or allies and they're down is or something, you step in and help them. I'd help Israel do the same thing if we went to war with Canada. God forbid it happens.
Why would you go to war with Canada? I don't get it.
No, I'm just saying, like, America, we're allies with Israel, so of course we got help. But if the Americans' perception
You will
is like,
not need any help to go to
Yeah,
war
the
with
war will
Canada.
be over before the Israelis can get here. By the time the
and
plane lands, that war is done.
no, Canadians are strong
You just
people.
need you just need to cut their curry reserves and they're done.
Trump
But
just
the can
dropped Israel recognition for Saudi normalization.
But why you guys focus on Israel? Why do you focus on anything else? I don't get it.
There's a war now. There are
Because
Because
people
we
I'm
there.
want
talking
to.
about purses and gambling, so we went on to politics. Is that okay,
Yeah, but
Rory?
Israel's fine. Like, let's move
Yeah.
on.
No, well,
With
we like
What
to
did you
talk
say,
about
John?
it because a lot of us
Trump.
travel there. We like to know the airport's going to
I
be
know,
safe.
but you're always giving
And
attention. You're making
I want
Israel
to
look
know.
real bad.
I'm going to
Trump.
be there in a few months. I want to know the airport's nice and safe. Don't you guys?
Let's
Sorry,
talk about
John, can you repeat
European.
But can we
yourself?
go back to taking out Canada? Sorry,
Can I
Lena.
just,
Didn't mean
yeah,
to.
no, that's fine, but can I just hear what John said? John, what were you saying about Trump?
Trump dropped Israel ties as a condition for Saudi nuclear talks.
Wait, we
No, he
got white
didn't.
smoke.
He
What are you
just it's
talking
on
about?
J Post right now.
What do you mean he dropped?
From what I'm understanding, that for some whatever agreement that the U.S. and Saudi Arabia are having, one of the conditions that Saudi Arabia recognize Israel has is not on the table right now. Yeah, here it is. The U.S. is no longer demanding Saudi Arabia normalize ties with Israel as a condition for
John,
progress on
John,
civil
they
nuclear.
do recognize Israel. Saudi Arabia recognizes Israel as a state.
But they
There's
want to
never been.
establish diplomatic relations.
It's different, but they recognize it. So you have to be clear on that. um, that the diplomatic relations would be allowing Israeli citizens in. And Saudi's in a funny position also. And I've talked about this because they put so much of their eggs in the basket of opening up for tourism and billions to develop all these giga cities. And they're trying to bring in world conventions. And it's the same thing that happened with Qatar when they there was a convention years ago that the Qataris wanted to have. I think it was like a dental convention. And there was a good number of the international members were Israelis, and they had to make a decision that they would allow them in. Um,
I mean, it's
and
private and
and
public as
that's
well. Let's
that's
not forget
what
that.
that's what is also going to be happening to Saudi as they try to now come onto the world stage through either the sports or their whole but belief in changing the nature of the country to be international. They're going to have to open up to this. And like that plays in also. It's not just military, it's also his MBS's whole vision 2030 to to be in the world market. I don't know if that's making any sense what I'm saying, but they can't be in isolation to a country like Israel, and then also want to promote this whole vision of their country as inclusive of the world.
Well, their position is they have to remain pacifist and somewhat appease both sides because of the amount of money that they can lose. They're trying to grow and expand their country and its resources. So for them to take one side, whatever, or not take the pacifist approach is going to hurt them economically.
In my view, I agree with Randy. So far, the only person who can effectively explain the relationship between Israel and US is Mike Huckabee, right? He's able to defend how US depending on Israel. In what way? In a way that is so easy, so convincing to understand. And we are missing a person like that target, like what John say, below 35 years of
He is
population.
the ambassador, right?
I don't think people under 35 care about Mike Huckabee.
No, the ambassador is Marco Rubio. Ambassador is. I'll check.
No, the
No, I don't
ambassador to
think so.
Israel? Who is it?
It's
Let me look
Huckabee.
it up.
Yeah, it's Huckabee. Yeah, I thought so.
So
By America,
this is where Israel communication warfare have to uh, replace. I mean, the missing area, right? So I think there's still a lot of room what Israeli communication warfare can do, right? So there are a lot of things you all discuss here. Often you don't see a very good overview picture that provide very clear, easy to follow, day to day or week to week what is going on, right? Anyone without a significant background is not able to follow a lot of things you are talking about. This is where there's a lot of room for the Israel communication warfare instrument to improve.
I agree. I agree. There's yeah. When there is a gap, there are gaps in Israel making its case. There are gaps. There are age gaps. I myself thought that there should. All right, I'll say I thought there should be a whole other organization other than APAC targeted to, people under 30. Because branding wise, just like General Motors has 6 different brands of cars or whatever, they have 20 different brands. I feel that the APAC brand is associated with the older generation. And I would love to see um, a different brand, a more youthful take on people under 30, under 35. And frankly, I think that groups like,
Did anyone announce there's white smoke? I got to break you in, Randy.
Yeah,
There's white smoke. There's white smoke. I'm sorry, Randy. I need to interrupt. Has anyone else gotten that news flash?
Oh
yeah, I
no,
got it.
really?
Yeah,
White
yeah.
We
smoke. Sorry,
habemos
Randy.
habemos papam?
What's
Habemos
that?
They're,
Did they
papam?
It
they're
show
says
gonna
they're
someone?
announce
about
it
to
soon.
announce. Huh?
Oh, habemos papam.
What
Did
does
they
the white
announce it?
smoke mean?
What does the white smoke mean? It means they're about to
That we
announce it.
have a pope. Yeah.
We have a pope. Did they announce it yet, Issa?
Yes.
No,
I
they
don't
just
know.
sent up
I
the
am
smoke.
out.
I hope
They
it's
I
my pick. I hope it's my guy. I'm rooting for it. You know, I have my inside picks. I've got a pool, and my friends and I have a pool. Who's going to be the
Oh,
next pope?
I wonder if it's going to be Sam
I'm
Shimon.
getting a call.
I wonder if it's going to be Cardinal Sam Shimon.
Wait.
Hey, I wanted Cardinal Dolan, but they'll never pick anyone out of the U.S.
Yeah, Sam Shimon would have been a great fit if they chose him.
Anyone have an inside track into the Vatican?
Oh, they put those
No,
cell phone
they said
jammers
it's
and everything.
coming. The exact announcement will be coming soon by a cardinal, but right now all we have is white smoke. I
Sorry,
think
Randy, I
Issa
didn't
just
mean
called
to
Rome.
interfere what you were saying, but that was
I'm just
breaking news.
waiting for Issa to get off the phone. I think she just called Rome.
Is she's calling a cardinal?
That's my guess.
So Abi, I think the young generation, there's a big revival right now throughout US. There's a significant growth of people becoming Christian below 35, big revival. The problem is there's no competent Israeli lobbies who can target them because the truth is, the inconvenient truth is, many of you are Orthodox and you ought to not know how to speak to Christian in a way that would make them support
Dave?
Israel. So,
Dave, I just met Pastor Hagee when I was at March of the Living. Pastor Hagee, the Kufi, is very much a part of the APEC lobby. And there's a great relationship between Kufi and the Jewish community. I mean, very close relationship. Could we do a better job? Absolutely. But the alignment is, God, I have photographs. Let me look in my phone because there were so many different Christian organizations that were at March of the Living just now in Poland, to commemorate 80 years since the liberation of the camps. Um, and this young Christians, to the extent they're part of the evangelical movement, are connected definitely through APAC. I mean, it's a big part of the membership of it. So, but I can try to find some of the other groups that are organized. I only know in the U.S. I couldn't tell you in other countries.
yes, Abby, the big challenge right now, I have gone through the different Christian room here. Basically, it's a big mess, right? They are all failing in understanding the biblical end time. It's exactly that kind of discussion will support Israel, right? And also, if you are Orthodox Jews, without that certain chapter and book of New Testament, you cannot get a much stronger argument to persuade the Christians. So I see this missed opportunity. And also, there are different theological framework. The only framework, the only Jewish, pro-Jewish Christian group, which is represent 10% of the Christian community, and there's only 10%. They have the right theological framework in place, and I have no idea what's going on within the other 90%. It's a big mess. If you do not have the end time framework of New Testament, you can't really understand what is going on, what is going wrong. And therefore, how could Israeli communication warfare have that kind of competency to address this gap? That is what I've discovered.
I think we have to stand in solidarity together because we both recognize that this is the holy land of our forefathers in a way.
I mean, I
Uh,
think you could start with who the ambassador to the state of Israel is from the United States and work your way from there. In
yes,
terms
yes,
of
definitely.
his affiliation and his statements, I mean, we couldn't ask for a better ambassador.
He's a very qualified because his track record is he has done a lot of tour guide to different holy land for the American, right? So he know Israel inside out, right? And he's very good at articulating. He can talk about translating the end time to geopolitical position why US is doing this, and the Israel communication warfare, especially those target young group, has to invite him and work with him and figure out how to work with Christian network. There are a couple of major Christian network influencer platform, and they always report about the surge in the revival of the young people now in US. So these are the thing. 1+1 = 2. This has to be connected.
And hopefully we can both agree on Genesis 1:26. I think we can both agree on that, then we can unify both peoples.
Yes, no. When I say New Testament, mean definitely Old Testament. In fact, the
Yeah,
power
Old Testament for
is
sure.
combined both. Yeah, power is combined both, and that's exactly what Israeli God want us to have, is to combine both. And the New Testament is giving some sort of complementary aspect to get a more up to date, because the Old Testament stopped 400 BC, so the New Testament added certain thing that most of the time old Orthodox Jews may not discuss. But these are the things normally I challenge the Christian based on the missing part in the Old Testament.
Well, I think if we just agree on Genesis 1:26, it'll get the ball rolling in the right direction and it'll piece together everything else.
No, there's also something called Matthew 25, verse 1 to 13, the parable of
Mhm.
10 virgins. That is a very powerful way to persuade Christian to think in the right way.
Well, I would combine Genesis 1:26 and then John 1.
So, Rabi, the survey recently is only 10 to 30% of the Christian in US actually read Old Testament. That's why this is again another gap, a blind spot.
Well, you can't have the New Testament without the Old Testament. From my perspective, both complement each other.
I know, but the statistic, the survey says so. Very few people see the need to go to Old Testament. This is the screw up. This is a failure of church, but this is a fact that has to address.
And the other thing I'll tell those modern readers is, how can you know the end if you don't know the beginning?
The other way to say that, how can you go around calling yourself Christian without understanding all the hero written in the Old Testament?
Yes, yes.
So I understand that, but 70% do not in US.
Because I always try to get the Jewish perspective on Genesis 1:26, but nobody really wants to look into it. It's not even touching the book of Isaiah. It's not even touching the book of Jeremiah. Genesis 1:26, it's not hard to answer.
And also, Rabbi, I think the future Middle East peace plan, I think most of the discussion is very pinhole among the Jewish here. Gaza, Houthi, these are the things. But I think we need to look at the big pictures. I think the prime minister of Israel tried to make a trip to Azerbaijan, right? So we
Hmm.
need to look at the big picture, and the big picture is written in Isaiah 19. That is the foundation for future Middle East peace plan. And Israel is already halfway there. So compared to January 2025 and May 2025, it's really already halfway to fulfill Isaiah 19. From many of us who understand this, this is amazing unfolding. Yeah, but someone has to translate that into a language that the Israel communication warfare will be able to share that to the whole world. The bombing in the protection of Druze is not just because we need to protect, but explain that to the Christian 2.5 billion out there. This is a fulfillment of prophecy, and someone has to do that.
I feel like we're living in Revelations because it talks about in the end times there's going to be instability, and then someone's going to come up and unify everyone, and it's going to appear like peace,
Yes,
and they're going to be the
yes.
Antichrist.
Rabbi, I hope you come often because when I speak to Jews, they always ask me, please don't talk about God, right? They are very uncomfortable. All the Jews here in Clubhouse, only one or two are comfortable to talk about God, and one of them is El Norman. The rest is very uncomfortable. He's
My
still
friend,
thinking
I am
about
a Christian. I am a
aha.
believer of Christ. He is my
Are you a
Lord and my
Messianic
Savior.
Jews? Are you
No,
a Messianic Jew?
no, sir. I
Okay,
was
that's
born
fine. Yeah,
born
that's
and
fine.
raised in the Christian
So
faith.
yeah. So I think if you look at the strategy that Israel is taking, often you find that it's the Messianic Jews who are active in communication, has the latest information of what the decision the prime minister cabinet is doing. If you look at the rabbi, they don't have. So that speak the truth, because the Messianic Jews look at both and they understand exactly. They communicate with the prime minister department and they feed them with the information they need to share with the 2.5 billion. But the rabbi keep saying, well, the Messiah is coming back, and then that's it, without a lot of more substantial latest information that normally come from the prime minister department, the office. So yeah, all this thing has to be addressed. So Rabbi, I thank you for keep coming back here, and
Yes, sir.
yeah, so that yes, okay. Um, I speak to you all some other time. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Looking forward to it, my friend. I think Christians and Jews have more in common than it seems. I think us as people, we need to figure out a common ground and come together, because Israel is a great significance because it is our holy land, and many things has happened there. So we can't just sit there idly by and let it be destroyed. If anyone wants to come up, please come up and share your points, your perspectives, and your views. We're eager to see everyone's input. Maybe we'll discover a different perspective by the time everything's concluded. It's nice to see that you're back. Basically, we came to the conclusion that Jews and Christians need to stand in solidarity because this is the Holy Land. We cannot sit by and then let it be destroyed, you know.
Sounds good.
And I think we have more in common than it seems to be. But I think sometimes like our fleshly desires puts us against each other, pins each other. But if we focus on the main point, I think that's the key. When I mean fleshly desire, I mean like when the desire to prove somebody wrong, say my way is better than your way, versus we can both go to the Torah / Old Testament, especially Genesis 1:26. I think it's a reminder, you know. So if someone has a Tanakh or the Torah, look into Genesis 1:26, and for the Christians, the Old Testament, Genesis 1:26.